I was looking back at the 10 habits I was trying to adopt last year, and I'm so glad that most of them stuck with me till today and became a daily part of my life now. So this year, I've created another 10 simple habits for you and me to adopt, not just for the new year, but anytime when you're watching this. And I've evenly divided them into 5 categories. They are habits for your productivity, mind, health, finance, and relationship. And since we're here, let's start with relationship. No screen time. We are frequently on our screen most of the time. And just by cutting down on our screen time, we can already see tons of improvement across all areas of our life. But for now, let's talk about relationship. We often see couples having meals together, but their heads are down scrolling through their phones. They are so close together, physically, yet they are both lost in their phones. I'll make it a habit to engage in conversation when I'm out with my loved ones. So I'll prevent myself from using phone. And if a no screen day is too extreme for me, I'll maybe try a no screen meal time. It's the time for both of you to focus on one another. Take the time to communicate. Even if you have nothing to say, just look at them as if it's the first date and be grateful for her presence. Love language as a habit. It's essential for us to communicate in one another's love language. And these love language are word of affirmation, act of service, receiving gift, quality time, and physical touch. And everyone will have a primary and secondary love language. Knowing the love language was a great realization for me because I used to only speak my own love language to my partner, which was buying expensive gifts for her, without identifying her primary love language, which is physical touch. And due to the miscommunication, both of us were putting in sufficient effort into one another. However, the effort is not being appreciated because it's not the language we understand. So knowing your loved one's love language is the first step, and cultivating it as a habit is the second. And they also have a love language quiz for you to identify which habit is your primary love language. I did it recently, and no surprise, mine is quality time and also words of affirmation. So these two habits are not limited only for your partner. They can be beneficial for any of your loved ones who you value the time you spend with them and you want to improve your relationship. It's important for us to sleep smart and sleep enough. Sleep is something we spend 1/3 of our 24 hours doing. And I'm sure no one wants to waste our time turning and flipping because you can't get into sleep. That's why we need to fully maximize the time we use for sleeping. And when it comes to sleep, quality and quantity are both crucial. So I want to cultivate habits like no screen time 30 minutes before bed, ensure a blackout room, exercise during the day, but not 90 minutes before sleep, no caffeine or heavy meals before bedtime. Those are some of the habits we can cultivate to sleep smarter. But for many of us, the least we can do is have enough sleep. Many of us tend to sacrifice our sleep just so we have more time on our hand. But little did we know that in order for us to perform productively, live healthily, and have mental clarity, having sufficient sleep is the start of everything. And knowing what is the perfect sleep duration needed is utterly crucial. We are all made different, so it's important for us to know what works for us. Personally, I've tried 6 to 8 hours of sleep and concluded that 7 is the best time for me without me feeling groggy in the morning. A posture reminder. While you're watching this, start to notice on your posture. If it's like this, or this, then this is the habit or a reminder for you. We know that poor posture is detrimental to our health in the long run. Whether it's chronic pain on our body or horrible posture that affects our mood or confidence. They are so bad, but we often still give in to the short-term comfort of slouching. So this year is the time for me to fix my posture. And one simple change I can implement is to remind myself frequently to sit up or stand up straight whenever I realize I'm slouching. And also move about instead of sitting down for the whole day. Next will be the mind, and the habit will be smiling. Truth be told, I can be one of the grumpiest person you ever met if I let my default emotion take control over how I react. And the only way I can counter my grumpiness is by smiling. Instead of thinking that smiling is the byproduct of happiness, we can actually trick our brain into the path of happiness just by raising our cheeks. Even when you don't feel like doing it, just by forcing your cheeks up, Somehow, that can turn your bad mood into a good mood. The act of smiling signals to our brain that we are happy and we are feeling awesome, and that will override our grumpy and moody self. Not to mention, smiling is contagious. Try smiling at a person behind the counter or any person that walked past you. People tend to reciprocate, and the feeling of that just brings us double the happiness. Currently, with the face mask, we can't really express our gratitude through smiling with our mouth. But I guess we still can do it with, the smiley eyes. But I'm not sure if it works. Maybe people think I'm creepy. Okay, no, maybe don't follow that advice. Having some time for hobbies. People need to have hobbies. Something we enjoy doing during our leisure time. But most of us are so busy. And we tell ourselves we don't have time to do things we like. If not, who's gonna pay the bill? But I think it's how committed you are to do things that can enhance your life. Hobbies don't only help us to declutter our stressful mind, it can also boost our creativity and increase our confidence, which they can be very beneficial to all areas of our life, whether it's relationship, work, or our minds. This year, I want to start a hobby of playing a music instrument, something that can relieve my stress and trigger the creative side of my brain and also improve my memory. And with so many instruments in mind, I ended up picking a guitar. Currently, I'm still at a beginner stage, trying to familiarize changing of chords. And I realized it's not as easy as I thought. And my goal is to play a song by the end of March. It seems tough, but I do make sure I take at least 30 minutes every day to work on this. And when it comes to learning a new skill, my go-to is Skillshare. I have to say, it's not because they are the sponsor for today, it's also because I trust the classes offered by them, and many of them are conducted by trustworthy and familiar faces on topics like productivity, online presence, videography, and even coffee brewing. And my first guitar lesson is by Mike Boy. He's a YouTuber, and his channel is all about challenging himself to learn something new in a short time frame. And also, he has been a guitarist for more than 15 years, so naturally, I went straight into his classes on Skillshare. Other than that, he has a class teaching how we can learn new skills effectively and efficiently, and push through the deeps when we feel like giving up. And if you are interested in trying out Skillshare to start a new hobby, the first 1,000 of you who use the link at the description below will receive a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And with that, we will have access to all the classes. Even after the trial, Skillshare is really affordable with an annual subscription fee of less than $10 every month. And if you don't know what hobby you want to adopt, you might want to check it out to get some inspiration. Eat the frog first. One of the biggest issues I have every day is facing the hardest and most important tasks for the day, because most of the time, I feel stuck and I don't know how to execute them. Rather than putting more effort into solving it, my brain starts to think about other random things. Maybe I should start by creating a fancy to-do list. I think I need to clean up this table before I start. Have I watered the plants? And by the time when I want to work on the most important task, my brain is already exhausted by the non-priorities. So typically, I'll push it to the next day. Looking at my to-do list, scripting is one of the things I dread the most, but yet it's an essential part for me to structure my whole video. So straight up, it's the first thing and only thing I'll allow myself to do before any other work. Start this habit of working on the most challenging tasks the first thing in the morning, when our brain is fresh, before it's exhausted by our daily decisions and chores. By eating the frog, we complete the hardest task, and what comes after that will be way easier for us to execute. Next is reading. Alright, before you roll your eyes and think that this is an overrated habit everyone recommends, but what I want to achieve here is not just the knowledge from the book, but also improve my concentration. Despite that, I have to admit that this is one of the habits I have trouble letting it stick. I'm not a fast reader. I always have difficulty concentrating on the words I read, and also, I'm a lazy reader. Living in this fast-paced world doesn't help. There are never-ending content out there on the internet, and we can just scroll off when it's getting boring. It's no surprise that our attention span is getting shorter and shorter. And I can't tell you how much time I've wasted from rereading, whether it's an article, research, emails, just because I wasn't focusing. Reading is one excellent way for us to practice our concentration, and I plan to let it stick by reading a book every morning before I start my day. It's kind of similar to eat the frog first. By committing to this habit every morning, there's no excuse for us to skip it later during the day or even in the evening. And also, start with a short duration. For example, 10 minutes of reading before you brush your teeth. Tracking and budgeting. No matter how important I know budgeting and tracking of expenses are, sometimes I still feel reluctant to track it down and record my expenses. I'll push it to the next day and let the receipts pile up for days or even weeks. Just like working out, once you miss a week and you feel demoralized about it, and this habit ended up pushing it to the next year. So instead of letting it pile up, I'll record all expenses right after any purchase or any transactions. Because we need to know, tracking of expenses is the best way for us to monitor where our money went, instead of having a shock when we look at our credit card bills. And for me, having a budget helps me with reducing impulsive purchase and also prevents me from spending money I don't have. Next, pay on time. I know how overwhelming it can be when it comes to paying our bills. It's something we tend to avoid because we don't want to see our hard-earned money being deducted. But no matter how long we wait, it's still gotta be paid. So it's a good habit for us to pay off our bills as timely as possible. I learned it a bad way, and you wouldn't want to spend extra for your credit card fees just because you've forgotten about it. I'll try to automate all the payments if they are recurring bills, and if they are one-time fee, then I'll do it right away once I've received it. So these are the 10 habits I want to adopt and 5 areas of my life that I want to improve this year. What about you? What are some of the habits you want to adopt this year? We can discuss at the comment section below and share it with us. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you do, a click on the like button will help a lot with this YouTube algorithm. And if you are new here, I make videos on minimalism and self-development. And you might want to consider subscribing to this channel for more videos in the future. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye bye.